If you're dating a woman and she says certain things to you, I don't care how much you like her. You need to stop and pay attention. Not later, not when things get worse, but right now. Because this is not about small arguments or harmless jokes. This is about specific phrases that reveal something much deeper. The kind of words that quietly expose how she truly sees you, how much she respects you, and what your place is in her life. Most men hear these things and ignore them. They laugh it off, they make excuses, or they convince themselves it's not that serious. But the truth is simple. Words are never random, especially in relationships. When a woman consistently says certain things, she is showing you her mindset. And if you ignore it, you don't just risk losing the relationship. You risk losing your self-respect in the process. So listen carefully, because these 5 phrases are not small red flags. They are clear warning signs. Number 1. You're too sensitive. When a woman says this, it may sound small, but it's not. It's one of the easiest ways to dismiss your feelings without taking responsibility. Instead of addressing what you said, she shifts the focus onto you and makes your reaction the problem. What should have been a conversation about her behavior suddenly becomes about your overreaction. Over time, this begins to change how you see yourself. You start questioning your own emotions. You hesitate before speaking up. You replay situations in your head, wondering if you're the one at fault. And slowly, you begin to silence yourself just to avoid conflict. That's how respect fades, not in one big moment, but in repeated situations where your voice stops being heard. Psychologically, this creates self-doubt and weakens your sense of boundaries. A woman who respects you will take your concerns seriously, even if she doesn't fully agree. She will try to understand your perspective, not shut it down. But if she constantly labels your feelings as weakness, she's showing you that your emotions don't matter to her. And once that pattern is established, it only gets worse. Number 2. You should be more like. The moment comparison enters a relationship, something is already broken. When she compares you to another man, she is not motivating you. She is telling you that you are not enough as you are. Even if she says it casually or frames it as advice, the message is clear. There is a standard, and in her eyes, you are falling short of it. That kind of comparison creates insecurity. You begin to measure yourself against someone else, trying to figure out what they have that you don't. You start adjusting your behavior, changing parts of yourself, not because you want to grow, but because you feel like you have to compete. And the more you chase that approval, the more you lose your authenticity. Psychologically, this puts you in a position of validation seeking instead of confidence. And once you're in that position, respect begins to drop. A woman who values you will not compare you to other men. She will recognize your strengths and support your growth without making you feel inadequate. But when she keeps pointing at other men as better examples, she's not pushing you forward, she's slowly tearing down your identity. Number 3. I don't need you. This phrase sounds like independence, but in a relationship, it often creates emotional distance. It sends a message that your presence is not important, that your effort does not add value, and that your role in her life is optional. At first, you might ignore it or brush it off, but over time, you begin to feel it. You show up, you support, you invest your time and energy, but it feels like none of it is truly appreciated. And that feeling slowly builds into emotional disconnection. Because relationships are not just about being capable on your own, they are about choosing to value each other. There's a difference between I can stand on my own and you don't matter in my life. When a woman repeatedly emphasizes that she doesn't need you, she's creating a dynamic where you feel replaceable. Psychologically, this reduces your sense of importance in the relationship and weakens your willingness to invest. A healthy relationship should make you feel valued, not unnecessary. And when that sense of value disappears, the connection begins to fade from the inside out. Number 4. If you loved me, you would. This is not love, this is pressure. It's a subtle form of emotional manipulation that forces you into a decision. You either do what she wants, or you risk being seen as someone who doesn't care. And that's where the trap is. Because no one wants to feel like they don't love their partner, You feel pushed to prove something. So you give in. You ignore your boundaries, you say yes when you want to say no, and you start doing things just to avoid conflict or guilt. But every time you do that, you lose a part of yourself. Psychologically, this creates a pattern where your actions are no longer based on choice, but on pressure. And once that pattern forms, it becomes her way of controlling the relationship. She learns that questioning your love is enough to get what she wants. That's not a healthy dynamic. That's emotional leverage. Real love does not require constant proof. It doesn't force you into uncomfortable situations or make you feel guilty for having boundaries. Real love respects your decisions and values your comfort. The moment love is used as a tool to control your behavior, it stops being love and becomes manipulation. Number 5. You're lucky to have me. This might sound playful, but it changes the entire dynamic of the relationship. It places her above you and puts you in a position where you feel like you need to prove your worth. At first, it may seem harmless, even joking, but over time, it shapes how you see the relationship. You start believing that she is the prize and you are the one trying to earn your place. That belief shifts your behavior. You begin to try harder, give more, and invest more energy just to maintain her approval. Meanwhile, she becomes more relaxed, more distant, and less invested because in her mind, she already holds the higher position. Psychologically, this creates an imbalance where one person is chasing and the other is receiving. And once that imbalance becomes normal, it's very hard to fix. A real relationship is not about one person being lucky. It's about mutual respect and shared value. Both people should feel appreciated and equally important. If only one person is made to feel lucky, then the relationship is already unbalanced, and over time, that imbalance will grow into resentment, frustration, and emotional distance. Conclusion. At this point, it's no longer about what she says once in a while, it's about the pattern. Anyone can say the wrong thing in the heat of the moment. Anyone can make a mistake. But when these phrases become consistent, when they show up again and again in different situations, they stop being accidents and start becoming a reflection of how she truly sees you. And that's what you need to understand. Relationships don't break overnight. They break slowly, through repeated moments of disrespect, dismissal, and imbalance. Not in one big argument, but in small things that get ignored over time. Because once respect starts to fade, everything else follows. Your confidence drops. Your boundaries weaken. You start accepting things you would have never accepted before. And before you realize it, you're no longer the same person you were when you entered the relationship. The truth is simple. A woman who truly values you will not make you feel small. She will not compare you, dismiss you, manipulate you, or make you feel like you're lucky just to be there. She will show you respect, not just through her actions, but through her words. And if you're not getting that, you need to ask yourself a serious question. Is this relationship building me or slowly breaking me? Because at the end of the day, it's not just about keeping someone. It's about keeping your self-respect. If this opened your eyes, don't ignore it. Take a moment and think about your own situation. Have you heard any of these phrases before? And more importantly, how did you respond to them? Drop your experience in the comments because your story might help someone else recognize what they've been ignoring. And if you want more content like this, make sure you like the video and subscribe, because the next video is going to break down the subtle ways people test your boundaries without you even realizing it. You don't want to miss that.